So one word for the Jets game.
I mean, Jets suck, so that's that.
I can't top that one, Eric.
Watching you and Keith and Tim Ruddy on that offensive line, right? That's my childhood right there. So being able to talk to you is an honor, man.
What a better place to previewing the Jets. You made a perfect intro.
Hi, everyone. Hey, back again, and I'm excited because I get to find out who's the guest fan is for this week. So look forward to finding out some interesting facts about the fan and just discussing and having a good time. Let's get to it.
Today is the Friday Fan Connection and Richmond. Today we have Eric Smith, coach, offensive line. You come from America, right?
Yeah, I am in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so we're not traveling too far this week. We're not going to Mexico, France, Italy. We stay in America. I'm in Paris, France, so I'm the one who's traveling far away, but it's not a problem. How are you, Richmond?
I'm good. Always glad to be on with a fellow, offensive line coach. Played that position for several years, and he's in the state of Pennsylvania, and they produced a ton of great football players, not just high school, but college, professional, you name it, all positions, you name it. The state of Pennsylvania has been well represented in the game of football. So definitely happy, Eric, you could come on and join us today.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, the honor's mine. Being on here with you guys, obviously a future Hall of Famer here. It couldn't ask to be in a better place right now.
Yeah, and what a better place to previewing the Jets. You made a perfect intro, and by the way, it's cool to talk about also the offensive line because you can jump in a better way because last game was not perfect for the offensive line, and so we can start with that, and I will let you guys talk. I know Richmond love to ask you the first question, but I will ask the first question and after leaving and let you guys handle. Are you guys worried about last game offensive line, especially in the second half? What you guys have seen?
I'm not. I'll take the first part. I'm not really worried. You take it game by game. I think a lot of times when you have a bad game where you don't perform as well as you typically want to expect, the next week you come in and really hone in, study the film, really pay attention to the little details, and try to correct those things and come out and say, "Hey, we're better than what we showed last week. If we don't fix this, then this could be, everybody's going to be trying different stunts, this and that." So I expect the offensive line to come together and really, perform much better this week. But also, I think they got a definite bonus with Devon Achane going over 1,000 yards. And I think that's every offensive lineman's dream is to get, like 1,000-yard rusher, this and that. And so not only I'm sure that Mr. Achane is excited, but I think all guys that block for him, no matter what the combination was, they're excited for him as well. So, and the Jets are a divisional game, so I don't think you need much motivation for that. But what do you think about, like Dan said, he was talking about the offensive line and fixing some things. And I know you're a coach, so you're on the other side where you're gonna come in and help us get motivated. So I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I would hope that going in against a division rival, especially the Jets, you would not need anything additional from the coach to get you up for a game like this. I thought the performance against the Saints was okay for the Dolphins offensive line, especially individual performances. There wasn't any like really bad performances in the past. It always seemed like there was, one player, whether it was Jonah or Cole Strange or Larry Borum, that when I grade them, I had them graded pretty low. But this game, everybody individually seemed to grade pretty well. But there were still some communication issues, I guess you would call it. And I think that could be expected with Austin Jackson returning. Like you and I both know that, a big part of being on the offensive line is that continuity. I think that's kind of enhanced or emphasized in this, Mike McDaniel, Shanahan style outside zone scheme where there's a lot of chemistry that's needed in terms of the combination blocks, identifying, especially all the motions in McDaniel's offense that can change like where the assignments are going. So there's a lot of communication needed there. And anytime that you're changing pieces on the offensive line, like they did this week, bringing Austin Jackson back into the fold, I think you can expect a few hiccups here and there. But that's one of those things again that you really hope to see that improve. And going against an opponent that they are familiar with over the years in the Jets, you kind of know what they're going to do for some of this stuff. So I do expect a good performance from the offensive line this weekend. And just to tap off what you said there, Richmond, like one of the big things with the offensive line is, sometimes a running back can make you look a lot better than what you are, right? Like sometimes it's just good enough to be big and be in the way. And when you
Yeah.
got somebody as special as Achan, right, then they can make you look a lot better than you are sometimes.
It can really make you look really, really well. And I agree with you. And I started, you reminded me of how, my coach used to talk to us, but you brought up some very valid points. And like you said, Austin Jackson's just coming back and it's going to be a little rough. He's got to work out, but just getting that timing back. And I think one of the differences is now is in the league now, you only get like 11 padded practices for the whole season.
Yeah.
So to get that timing and that continuity, it might take a game or two. But the thing is, we got Austin Jackson back, and I thought that was definitely a bonus. And like you said, Jonah, he kind of struggled early on in the season, but man, he's really kind of hitting his groove and coming along. And I think, the left side, we're going to be set for a long time with him and Patrick Paul over there. But just got to continue to work. And like you said, it's a game by game situation. And I guess let me ask you this. We're talking about the Jets. Coaching, offensive line, how did you get into it? How long have you been coaching or whatever? Or give me a little bit of your history, because now you're on one of my favorite subjects right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been a Dolphins fan my entire life. I was born near Miami, ended up in Pennsylvania with my dad, was in the Army, ended up retiring here from the Army, and then obviously played offensive line my entire life. And I never really knew that I wanted to get into coaching, but I guess when I look back at it, like even in high school, I was starting at left tackle, but our backup left tackle was our best backup on the team. So if anybody else went down across the line, whether it was a center or a guard, I would shift over to that position. So I knew all five positions plus the tight end, like even back to high school, not even really thinking about coaching in the future. And then after I graduated high school, I had decided not to go to college. I went right into the workforce, but my dad ended up coaching for my nephew's team and asked me to come out and help. And I ended up enjoying that a lot. My dad did not continue to coach, but I continued to coach at the youth level, volunteering for several years, and then eventually moved up with the high school, and that's where I've been for a few years now.
Man, that's awesome. I tell people all the time, people look at, guys coaching at the top level, but it's the guys that coach the little league, the junior high school. That's where your foundation is typically put. And because playing offensive line, just getting guys in a stance is amazing, because it's so awkward, just getting down and you got to do this, you got to say that, and then but to have the patience and the time, and I think back and I always think about my coaches over the years, and from time to time, some of them are still living, and I get to go back and I always tell them thank you and I appreciate you, because um, I can look back now and for a while I had to catch myself, because once you kind of went through that process and you go back and you watch a game, you almost have to remember, oh, I remember when I was that age and I wasn't the guy I was I was playing. So it's a progress, and you got to have patience. And I learned that, never really coached, but I kind of coach kids during little football camps and stuff like that. And man, you can destroy a kid by just, you can either beat them down or you can lift them up and say, hey, no, just keep working. You all right. And sometimes I think, not only kids, but people just need, hey, you're going to be okay. It's going to come together. You just got to trust the process. And that's why I'm so fortunate I had, good coaches all the way up throughout my career. And uh, man, it made a huge difference, not only in football, but in life. And then the other thing I was thinking about when you said that, when you said you were from Miami and your dad was in the military, you ended up in Pennsylvania. I was like, bro, I know it get cold up there. And I was like, I was just sitting there thinking about it, but I'm sure you adjusted and acclimated to the weather and stuff. But I guess the next thing I was thinking about was, you playing all those different positions. And I've even shared on the show, that was the fortunate thing about me playing left tackle. I would always wait for the center. The center is one of the most important because he identifies the fronts. And then once he makes his call, we pass along. So communication. So kind of talk about, you know, I guess what you already have, but if you want to, elaborate on it a little bit more, um, I think the thing that I'm really impressed with is, like you said, you played left tackle, but to be able to move to, any positions that's needed, I think that's a special skill set. That was something that I couldn't even do, but to be able to do that, explain, because a lot of people just think you can just plug and play someone anywhere, and that's not the case.
No, absolutely not. I mean, especially when you get to the higher levels, you have a lot different stances. Aiming points are a little different depending on where you are, especially in the pass game. Right, if you're a tackle, then you have a little more space that you have to work with versus a guard or a center. And it, just even the blocking assignments, the concepts, the rules. Like I feel like one of the reasons that I did well with being able to play multiple positions is that I feel like I do a good job of seeing the overall concept and understanding, where everybody's supposed to fit in and where those lanes should be opening up. And I don't know that everybody does it. And I see that with, players that I've coached as well, that sometimes they'll understand their individual assignment. Like we try to give them simple rules that they can remember. And they do a good job of remembering that, but they don't necessarily comprehend how that affects the rest of the play. I think that's a big part of it in being able to move multiple positions. And we see somebody like Dan Brunskill and the Dolphins being able to do that. I think that's a big reason that they were able to move him to that, that sixth offensive lineman, that heavy tight end type position, is that he's the type of player that understands where everything fits in. So as a Y tight end, essentially, that's being put in motion or lining up somewhere different from play to play, like he's doing a good job of understanding how everything works, right? When they take a motion in the linebacker shift, like he can see that entire picture, understand that maybe the guard's assignment is now changing and how that affects him. So I think that it's really difficult to be able to look at it in a split second. Like we can all, there's plenty of people that can sit here and go back and watch the film and replay it 5, 6 times and get an idea of what was supposed to happen on the play. But those players that are out there, you don't have that benefit. A lot of times it's a split second decision, right? The guy's going in motion, the ball is snapped as he's in motion, and you have to be able to adjust to what's happening there. So I think that's definitely a lot harder than many people think.
Ain't no question. And he just, when you said that, I remember one of my line coaches, Larry Bechtel, and great coach, and he would have us. Well, I had to take tests with all my coaches just to make sure you knew your assignments and all that. But he would make us fill in what, like, the tackle, guard, center, everybody was doing on certain play versus different fronts. And a lot of time I was like, man, I don't need to do that because I'm not going to play center. But it does help you, especially in the game, because a lot of time you got 25-second clock. And if a guy's in a five or four and then drops down to a three, you got to make that adjustment. Okay, now your assignment changes where you may have to fan out or you double team up to the mic or whatever, but you got to know what to do in a split second. And so a lot of times those mental reps really help prepare you for that. But I've always been impressed with guys that could, whether they were back up, they could, swing tackle, or if they could play tackle guard. That's amazing. So man, that's a different perspective. So when you told me that, I was like, a lot of people don't really think about that, but I think that's why you've been so successful as a coach, is because you see it different. It's almost like I've talked to guys that played, say, like quarterback, but then they move to like wide receiver. They see the field different because they look at all the coverages and they say, okay, now I'm used to processing this as a quarterback, but now I know where the holes or the gaps were to set in, and a lot of times playing multiple positions truly help you understand the game a little bit better and all that. So, man, that is amazing. So, are you attending the game this weekend up in how far are you? I know Pennsylvania is not far from the Meadowlands, whatever, but how far are you from like New York or whatever?
Yeah, so I want to say it's like a 3 or 4 hour drive for me. I've made that trip there. I've been considering it. Like you said, the
Okay.
weather is not the greatest here. We actually got our first snow of the year here today, so I spent my morning shoveling. It was only a couple of inches, so it's not too bad. But that comes into play when considering, like, especially I fly down to Miami a couple times every year for games, so I've
Oh,
learned to
nice.
enjoy games in that weather, so I'm not quite as eager to go out in those outside cold games these days.
So you still got family in Miami?
Yes, I do still have family. My uncle lives probably about an hour from the stadium. My aunt lives in Hollywood, and then we have some friends down in the Orlando area as well. So we
Okay.
we get to make a good trip out of it, and I try to squeeze in a Dolphins game with those trips when we can.
Nice. So let me see. Hour. So were you like from South Miami when you were here before you moved up to Pennsylvania, or what area were you in?
So I have no memories of being in
Okay.
Miami. We moved away when I was less than a year old. I was born
Oh,
in Plantation, Florida, and that's
okay.
that's about
I knew a
about what I know.
plantation.
I know my
Okay.
my dad grew up. You could almost throw a paper airplane from his house to the stadium. He grew up very close to where Hard Rock is now, but I have no memories of being down there.
I got you. I got you. Well, it's always good to come back and visit, and it's good you can come down a couple times a year and catch games and see family. And I know when it's cold, they definitely prefer you come down than they come up. So, now
Absolutely.
is your wife from Pennsylvania or
Yeah, so she did grow up in Pennsylvania, grew up in the mountains here in Pennsylvania in a very small town called Tamaqua, PA.
okay?
It's near. Are you familiar with Jim Thorpe?
Oh yeah, yeah, the football. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the town that she grew up in is near the town that is named after Jim Thorpe, and Jim Thorpe is actually from the town that I live in, Carlisle. This Carlisle at the Indian school here in Carlisle is
Hmm.
where Jim Thorpe became famous, and then they named a town about an hour and a half north of here after him. But she's born and raised here in Pennsylvania, and will probably be here for the rest of our lives.
Okay, 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 okay. Well, man, I definitely appreciate you coming on and taking time out your day, Eric. Man, we do this, and you always learn. I always learn different stuff about people, but to be able to sit here, talk offensive line with you, and it takes my mind back to when I was a player, or even sometime when I was a kid. I just somebody say they're a coach, it's a different meaning for me. Even if I'm older, I have so much respect for them because I know the sacrifice that coaches have to do, and a lot of times they spend more time with the kids they're coaching sometimes than with their own families and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and they're the most proudest when they see their kids, whether their kid gets scholarship, go to school, graduate, and do this. They know they've played a part in doing that, and a lot of times, guys will come back and get advice from you. So, you're like a second father or whatever you want to call it. But man, I appreciate your efforts and all that because I know how important it is. Um, to just mentoring, young men and young women, how big of a role coaches play in it. So I always try to, salute them and give them the praise that they definitely deserve because it made a huge difference in my life.
I appreciate that, man, and that means a ton coming from you. I mean, the honor is mine being able to come on here and talk to you. I mean, I do some, podcast in my Dolphins offensive line breakdown, stuff like that, and that's just, my kind of fun stuff. But some of the doors that it's opened up to be able to talk to somebody like you, right? There's still a little boy that's a huge fan, right? I was born mid '80s, right? So, watching you and Keith and Tim Ruddy on that offensive line, right? That's my childhood right there. So being able to talk to you is an honor, man.
Thank you, and I guess we'll get Dan back in here. I don't know where he's hiding at. Well, maybe we can make an offensive lineman out of him. No, maybe he can make a running back out of Dan. He
Yeah,
looked more like a running back, I think.
I don't know how you guys call the thing that the toy and the defensive line are tackling. I don't know how you name that, but I'm just worse for that part. I mean, in any other part, I'm so
You
bad.
got to
So
catch you. They got to catch you first, Dan. They got to catch you.
Yeah.
Don't just let them sit there and grab you. You got to move.
yes, but with the torn ACL, I'm running not very fast. I mean, I will say like two. Oh, sorry.
Oh man.
Sorry. It was just a joke.
Just yo,
We
we're
are
gonna
we
let
are
you
here
make it.
to having
We're
fun.
gonna let you
Yeah,
make
You
it.
know,
yeah, good.
we have to explain to people that it's a totally different show. We are not talking an hour about the Giants game. We're taking the opportunity to connect with fans all over the world. So today you are in America, but a couple of weeks ago we have Hugo from Spain. We have Dirk from Germany, and this is what we want to show, that the community, the Miami Dolphins community, it's worldwide, and it's awesome. So thank you, Eric, for coming in. I can say that you're doing breakdowns every week. I love what you're doing. I secretly showing you. I don't want to be act like a fan, but I love your job because you first of all you have the film perspective, so we can see behind the line of scrimmage. You understand much more that football is so much more complicated than we think. It's not just throwing the ball. You have so many details, and offense is like a orchestra. Everybody has to do his job perfectly. And
Mhm.
when you feel that there is maybe 60 snaps a game, it's 60 times you have to play perfectly your thing. So, and in offensive line, it's almost even more. You can make any mistake. I mean, in a mistake, your quarterback is sacked, or your run is ruined. Whatever. I don't try to be the expert. You guys are the experts, but I want to show my appreciation of what you're doing, and the fact that you take your time to share it. It's awesome. Please keep doing it. And you
Absolutely.
here, it's your house, man. So you can come back anytime. And I think Richmond is enjoying this even more than me.
Oh
So
man.
that's what make me more pride.
Yeah, he took me
Yeah,
back, bro. I told him that. He took me back. So yeah, I'm on my best behavior today. You see, I ain't cracked too many jokes and coaching here. So I gotta be on my best behavior.
yeah. I really
thank
appreciate you
thank you,
guys having me
Eric.
on.
But Eric, I have a final question for you. Are we beating the
Okay, yeah.
Jets or not? Are we beating the Jets or not?
Of course. Of course. There's no doubt there. Right? No matter what happens, no matter how many wins there are in a season, there are two games that we have to win every year.
That's
Because
it. I'm I'm
remember,
I'm with Coach. Yeah, Coach just said it. So yeah, that's it. I'm in
we
agreement with
all
Coach.
we always with coach. And remember what you say at the very beginning. The Jets, what? I didn't
Oh,
hear
you mean
very
that
well.
the Jets suck?
Okay. That's how you fire up a rival game. But everything in a positive spirit during the stadium. People don't get mad. It's just a game, and we're all having fun. And Eric, thank you for joining us. And I hope we can talk to you again later this year, or even in the off season. We never know what can happen. We never know how much Richmond wants you to get to be back. Maybe you're going back next week. I don't know. He loves so much the offensive line. So, hey, Richmond, I let you the final word, man.
Hey, I just want, hey, Eric, Coach Eric, hey, thank you so much. I know you're busy. Probably season's not over, but thank you for just allowing us some time to come in and talk football and talk about Miami and sharing your story and man, that's the part that I really get a kick out of. But when I found out, coaching and this and that, and then coaching offensive line, that's a soft spot for me playing it for so many years position. So I definitely enjoyed this episode, and I appreciate you coming on and just spending some time with us today.
Absolutely, guys. Pleasure's mine.
Thank you. And now we know that Richmond don't enjoy the show just be with me. I have to bring an offensive line coach to enjoy the show.
Yeah.
I understand, Richmond. Wow. Thank you very much. Hey, put positive comments, and if you guys have an experience into offensive line, want to learn more, put positive comments and subscribe. I will put all your details on the show. Subscribe to Eric Smith's channel and on social media, and everything he's sharing, and it's perfect. Hey, let's beat the Jets, and we talk about that after to go after the Steelers and be 7-7. That's the goal. That's the story. We don't want anything, another script. 6-7 next week and 7-7 after. And after that, we can enjoy Christmas.
Hey, great show again. I'm glad you got an opportunity to tune in. If you don't mind, we appreciate the comments. We're trying to do better. If it's some suggestions you would like to make, we're always open to them. That any critiques or whatever, how we can improve the show, we welcome those. And if we can make it happen for you guys, we will. But thanks for always tuning in with us. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week.